Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are tuning in from. This is Africa Decode, where we discuss issues regarding Africa politics, economic, and social. And today we are going to be discussing about the current situation in South Sudan. Joining me is Ambassador Tut Riek Jikany. Ambassador, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining. It has been a privilege to meet you again.
Thank you, Babu, for having me, and also to your audience. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's me start it light. What do you make of Adut Salva Kiir Mayardit stepping in as senior presidential advisor for special programs? Is it just a family matters or family affairs, or do you see a real vision in her appointment?
At the stage of the country matters at the moment, we it's hard to predict what
Yeah.
will happen. But what we know is that the appointment of Adut will not make a difference. Why I say that is because Adut herself does have baggages. There's an unsolved murder of a journalist named Isaiah Abraham. He was murdered in December 2012. And the reason he was murdered is because he criticized Adut being given to a foreign nation or a foreigner because she was married to an Ethiopian. And Isaiah Abraham went and wrote an article warning South Sudanese, if the president is able to give his daughter to a foreigner, he's going to sell out the country. So even at the moment, even though she might not have anything to do with it, but it still ties to her. So her appointment will not make a difference because Adut has always been there. She's been there since the 2013 disagreement or dispute that led to what we are now, that led to a long conflict of South Sudanese being murdered. Even at the moment, Adut never came out since 2013. She never came out to condemn anything. She never served to advise her father. We don't know what kind of significant role she will play advising her father because this position that she's given, many South Sudanese women qualified for it. But because she is the first daughter of the president, she does have a significant age of the other women. So this position will be able to see policies. We'll see things that are being done in the presidential office. And she's a witness. She's a witness to all of this. So with her appointment, it's not going to, as she said it, if you look at her, Adut seems to be a very nice lady, very sweet. I would say I did encounter her back when we were in Eton. She's several years older than I am. Back in Eton, during the liberation, many of us do run into the leaders' children, and the leaders used to walk casually. It wasn't something very difficult to where it is now. So I do remember Adut, and very, very outgoing, very nice lady. And if she walks around without a security, you would not even know she's the daughter of a leader. She's very humble. So this appointment, it's sad that she's in this position because it seems like she's put in a position that she's not going to succeed due to the conflict. The country has so many challenges ahead of her, where she has no significant power to overturn anything that her father does, because Kwalmanyang still has more power than her, Makweleth, and also Daniel Woodacott. These are people that are so close to her father that are driving the government of South Sudan. And those individuals have so much hatred towards their fellow citizens and fellow brothers. And to be honest, at the moment, Adut will face a lot of criticism because most South Sudanese at the moment have said a lot of negative things about her and have poured out their reaction. The reaction is not about the position she's given. The reaction is her being the president of South Sudan. Many people are getting that, and they see that this is a nepotism that we're all trying to eliminate. But if the president is able to appoint his daughter, nepotism will continue. And many people right now, they're qualified, but because they don't have anybody in the government, they're unable to secure a job. They're unable to secure a position that would allow them to change their family dynamic, and to also, fend under themselves and support themselves.
So let's talk about the family corruptions that is tied to most of the president's family. Does she have a share on the corruption?
I would say she does, because it's something that Adut must put into consideration, because her father leadership represent her, because that's her father. If her father leaves in bad terms, the same thing, the whole entire President Salva Kiir family will be labeled as an enemy of South Sudan. Unlike Dr. John Garang family at the moment, because John Garang did leave in a good terms, although he had many problems with some of the leaders and some of the communities. His son right now, Mabur Garang, can walk anywhere, and he will not be seen as an enemy. The same thing with his daughters and other children that John Garang have. Even Mama Nyandeng Garang, she can go anywhere right now and she will be welcome. But Mary Yandit cannot do that. Adut cannot do that, and it, along with her siblings. So the corruption that Selfa and his family have right now, it has reached a state of them being seen as enemies, a family destroying a country that would prosper all of us. At the moment, some of her siblings, at least 4 of them, are put into a high position. They're leading government officials on foreign trips. They also have been promoted into a higher ambassador grade, so they can be able to have a foreign assignments. So the corruption is much deeper than that. Tut Riek Mayardit is still have a lot of power. Just him being a nephew. Imagine all of this that are happening right now. So it is seen as a corruption, and Adut will not be able to will be given a chance by South Sudanese, although she's a very nice person and has a heart. She wants to help others, but she hasn't been able to be able to voice her concern with things that are happening, such as what's happening in Upper Nile. She hasn't came out to say the bombing of these areas is unnecessary. She hasn't been able to condemn any of the situation happening in Tunj area, where Tunj are butchering themselves. The same thing in Unity State. So at this moment, I think she'll just be another politician being appointed into a higher position.
So have you ever thought, like, what if she could be maybe the president of South Sudan? Because currently the position is given to her. It's just one step ahead to her. And it might be strategic or tactic maybe to dump Benjamin Bullmel.
It is a strategy, and that's possible because Bullmel has failed. Selfa did not see the negative impact that Bullmel has had on South Sudanese until he appointed him to be vice president, and now the second most powerful individual in the ruling party. Because, that's one of the things that is going on right now. The appointment of Bullmel has only added more violence and more sanction and more economic damage to South Sudan. So this could be a way to drive out Bullmel, because Adut will be able to be a favor, and she does speak very well. Her speeches are persuasive. She can persuade a lot of people and to be able to support the government of South Sudan. So that is a possibility.
So, okay, on the election terms, there's a big thing people are talking about and whispering about the election. So do you think there will be election? Is South Sudan ready to hold an election, or should South Sudanese expect another extension wrapped in a nice language?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to election, we're not ready as a country. We're not ready because the government of South Sudan has no system. Because in order for you to be able to hold an election, there has to be a system of governance. At the moment, there's no judicial reforms, because it's very important to have a judicial reform in the country, a strong judicial system, so that when officials are public elected, they'll be held accountable by the voters. So at the moment, half of the, 1/3 of the population is outside the country. They're in camps. We have refugee camps inside the country, and there will be no census. There will be no accurate census being counted. So at the moment, we're not ready as a country. We don't even have the budget for an election. The citizens are not even given a platform where they can vote for their public officials. All the officials are being appointed. And this has been a big damage to South Sudan as a country. So if elections come, it will be an election that is sabotaged and also stolen. It will never be a fair election, with given the fact that Salva still has more power. You still have people like Kwalmanyang, Daniel Awudakot, and also Makweleth having that influence on the president. None of these people will ever accept any other candidates from any other tribes. And when we look at it, Salva Abelalier system was much better than Salva at the moment, because when Abelalier was the president of the southern province, he did have a very diversified cabinet. He had some of the minority tribes represented in his cabinet. But at the moment, Salva leadership is not diversified. It's only one section that is driving out or is driving the engine of the country. And this is really have sidelined a lot of the citizens, because they can't participate in election when they know they're not going to be represented. So in a light, you do need citizens to participate. Unless you force them to participate, which will not be a fair election at all.
And we don't see other parties right now stepping up or maybe criticizing the government, and the election is approaching just maybe a couple of, maybe 16 months away now. And there's no activities and signs that showing that there would be election. But what if, who would be the candidates or the opposition parties that would oppose the current SPLM party?
Yeah, the government of South Sudan is very good at bribing. So at the moment, the opposition, the main opposition leader, Dr. Riek Machar, is in house arrest, and some of his top leaders, like former Minister of Petroleum Potkang, Gabriel Doblam, and others, they're still in detention. So at the moment, the only person they're grooming is Stephen Parkol, who will be the opposition. He's just a decoy. He's not a real opposition. He's someone the government will use as a means to steal the election. And he will have a few others that will be candidates, and those are his. He will be able to drive them out, let them know, hey, go ahead and submit your application to be a candidate. And this itself is a practice that Uganda president is able to empower President Salva Kiir to steal the election, because Yoweri Museveni is very good at stealing elections. He's been doing it for the last 4 decades. So there are all candidates that they're going to groom. At the moment, the main opposition that we know is Parkol being groomed and to go to election with President Salva Kiir.
Now let's talk about the border issue with Uganda. Maybe in the beginning of August, there has been incidents between the SSPDF and UPDF and the borders, and news reports are saying that there have been casualties in the fire exchange between these two sides. So what's drive this border issue, and what is the solution to fixing the demarcation line?
Yeah, at the moment, President Yoweri Museveni has an interest in South Sudan, due to him being empowered by powerhouses, because he's still an ally to United States to European Union. So at the moment, he's interested in gold mining. South Sudan does have gold mining, so if gold is discovered on the border, he's able to drive out the SSPDF. The SSPDF do have hostility towards the UPDF because UPDF seen SSPDF as ineffective, unprofessional. So they do look down on these South Sudan People Defense Forces. So when that clash happened a couple of weeks ago, there was casualties, and now some of the land is taken in Kejikeji area. It's taken now. So South Sudan had to sign an agreement with UPDF. When President Yoweri's son Mosey came to Juba, he did sign a bilateral agreement with South Sudan government, which will allow them to operate in their area because they do have interest. And South Sudan government has no regards to its land. He's willing to sell anything in South Sudan as long as it benefits him, help him to stay in power. In this case, President Yoweri Museveni will continue to help Salva to stay in power by allowing him to be on the border. There are target places that are already controlled by UPDF, not only the border. The Juba International Airport is controlled by UPDF. Many of the government institutions inside Juba are controlled by UPDF. At the end of the day, Museveni cannot be trusted. In East Africa and Africa alone, he's one individual that is cannot be trusted. We South Sudanese cannot trust him because he has a hand in what happened to John Garang. And he's there to destabilize South Sudan so that he can control it. The same thing he destabilized Somalia. The same thing he's doing in Burundi and he's doing in Congo. He's there to destabilize South Sudan. And Salva at the moment, as long as he can get 10 to 20 years being in power, it doesn't matter how he leaves South Sudan in the hand of UPDF. Another area that UPDF is very interested in is Boertown. Boertown is a center and is a very strategic town that they can be able to bring in their weapons and really establish themselves. This would allow Museveni to drive out the elements of the IGO because he does have a personal hatred towards Dr. Riek Machar and other opposition groups. So Boertown has already surveyed. They do not have a lot of the insecurity, but UPDF are interested in controlling Boertown. And then if they control Boertown, now they can control the entire road all the way to Juba, all the way to the border, and we will not have any power to retreat. And the thing what they did in order for Museveni to gain more power, he had to divide the South Sudanese, divide the Equatorians, it divided the Nuer and the Dinka, and also the Shuluk. Once you divide these South Sudanese population, later, even if you invade this country, the South Sudanese will never come to agreement like it did when we fought the North, because now the country is so divided. If anything happened in one area, no one is looking. They just looking away and say, you people deal with it. The same thing in Equatoria right now. What happened in Equatoria? There's no rescue from other tribes coming to help Equatorians. The same thing happened in Tun area. No other tribes are coming to rescue them. The same thing happened in Upper Nile, in Nasser and Walang and Lungachuk. No one is coming. It's just tribes fighting each other and they're pending each other against one another. And this is easy. We're so vulnerable that once we get invaded, we will not be able to hold our ground.
Ambassador Tut Riek Jikany, thank you so much for your insight again. And please, if you have any final message to our audience, I would love to give you the time.
Yes, thank you for your time, Babur, and thank you for all your hard work and for having us today. My final message will be the citizens must be able to depend on each other and not the leaders. The more we depend on the leaders, the more they disappoint us. At the moment, the President Salva Kiir, his main goal is to remain in power and dominate every other tribe.
Thank you so much for your time, Ambassador. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Hello there. Thank you so much for staying with us from the beginning to the end. Now it is time for you to engage with us in the comment sections. Please drop your thought, comment, share, and like. Stay safe.